Right now, buy one pair of glasses and get the second one free, so you can live bolder, look sharper, and see better. Schedule an appointment today to find your focus.
Right now at Scottsdale Mitsubishi, you can receive 0% APR for 60 full months on all new 2025 Mitsubishi models. You heard right. 0% APR for 60 months.
Think how much you'll save when you pay no interest.
The name, remember? Scottsdale Mitsubishi. Scottsdale Mitsubishi.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix. It's the lunch break.
Welcome into the lunch break on this Tuesday, October 14th. Kayla Mortellaro filling in once again for Chris Schubert, who's continuing to enjoy his honeymoon. Evan behind the glass, helping us so that everyone can see and hear us. See us on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube channel, and of course, hear us here on KDUS AM 1060 and with that KDUS 1060 app. It's a Tuesday morning, and so we have reactions to our Monday Night Football contests. We also have reactions to playoff baseball championship series underway. We also had someone in the comments from last week, knowing my background in golf and wanting to have a golf segment and kind of talk about what's happening moving forward in 2028 and 2030 for a golf ball rollback, if you will. So we're going to dive into that with Alex Myers from Golf Digest around 11:15, 11:20 today. And we'll have buy or sell at 11:45 and Doug Haller of The Athletic joining us around 12:15, 12:20. For some Cardinals conversation and also pick his brain about the Phoenix Suns with today. I think today is supposed to be the last preseason game for the Suns taking on the Lakers in Phoenix. And then the season gets underway shortly after that. But let's dive into Monday Night Football from last night. And we'll start with this Falcons and this Bills contest. With the Falcons coming out on top 24-14. I know that I've been pretty vocal last week, this week in regards to this Bills defense. I didn't think the Bills defense was going to be this bad, though. Bijan Robinson, 19 carries, 170 yards, a touchdown. That included an 81-yard rush. He also had 6 catches for 68 yards. Drake London, 10 catches, 158 yards and 1 touchdown. In total, the Falcons on the ground had 210 yards as well as 250 yards through the air. Josh Allen, the counterpart there for the Bills, 15 of 26, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. James Cook with 17 carries for 87 yards. Certainly on the offensive side of the ball, missing Dalton Kincaid proved to be a little bit too much there for the Bills as he was their best receiving option. He was their leading receiving option, and it feels like at this point they have some question marks that they need to help answer on now both the offense and defensive side of the ball. The Bills now have dropped 2 in a row and are sitting at 4-2 on the season, and they are actually not in first place in the AFC East. That belongs to the New England Patriots because they have the tiebreaker right now over the Bills. So let's first kind of dissect, though, the Bills and this Falcons team. I know, Evan, you had said to me off air yesterday that you didn't really think that the Falcons were a very good football team. After seeing Monday night, do you have a different assessment, or is it more about what the Bills were unable to do?
So the Falcons they have so much talent, right? They really do. I mean, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Michael Penix makes throws that kind of leave you speechless at moments, back to what he did at Washington, back to what he did at Indiana. They have so much talent. James Pierce Jr., it'll be interesting to see the type of player he becomes. But then they do things like, it's hard not to believe that for a moment there, Atlanta gets the ball back right before the half. They try to throw a quick comeback to Drake London, call the timeout, kick the field goal. London breaks the tackle and starts heading towards the end zone. And I don't blame him. Dive for the pylon. Go get a touchdown. You're playing the Bills. You want to go up 21. And he steps out. And in that moment, you're like, man, the Falcons, they just can't get out of their own way, right? And it's the same stuff. And that, for a second in my head, was going to be the difference. But they held on defensively. They gave the Bills fits, and they blitzed quite a bit last night. They were able to send a lot of pressure. I mean, you gave up 7 points in the first half, 7 points in the second half. Offensively, they were held to just 3 in the second half. So is that a concern? I don't know. But they have so much talent. Bijan Robinson obviously was awesome last night. Drake London was awesome last night. It's just, I still feel like the jury might be a tad out on the Falcons. I really don't know what they are, because I go back to, you beat the Bills, you lost to the Panthers, and we do this same thing every week. But this is a 3-2 football team, and they are in a position where they can make a run for a playoff spot. You have Atlanta at 3-2. I mean, believe it or not, Carolina's 3-3.
I know,
right? Like, there are a lot of teams that can kind of make a push. And the Niners are 4-2, but a lot of people don't feel like they can continue to play that way. The Bears got to 3-2 last night. The Commanders hit at 3-3. There's a lot of spots and a lot of teams right there in the mix. Like, where does Atlanta rank among those 5 to 7 seed teams? Can they get into one of those spots?
I think I agree with you there in that they have a lot of talented players, and maybe it's just within this grouping of people that we haven't seen them put it all together yet. And so that we're still trying to figure that part out of them being able to put together the offensive package week in and week out to say, yep, this is a team that's rolling. This is what they are capable of doing. And they're going to keep bringing it week in and week out. And defensively, I think there's also still some question marks. They have a lot of key players on their team, finding a way to put it all together here and say, yeah, this is a Falcons team that's now formidable.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the big question for a few years, right? Like, they spent a top 10 pick on a running back, a tight end who, couldn't seem to get the ball for years. Now a quarterback, and Drake London, another high pick. I mean, we're talking about an offense that has been built in the top 10 of the first round. So they have talent. They certainly just haven't been able to put it together. And we go back to last year, right? Like, Atlanta was in the mix for a playoff spot.
They were.
They lost to Carolina in the last week in a shootout, and just felt like they couldn't get the stops they needed before. And a lot of this has to do with how poorly I thought Buffalo was coached last night. Like, on 3rd and 1, you have the best player on the planet. You have the best football player on the planet of the earth. And you took it out of his hands, not to give it to the running back you just paid, by the way. Who'd they get? Elijah Moore on a jet sweep? Like, are we kidding?
Sometimes coaches seemingly outsmart themselves for no reason. But I think, to your point about being outcoached, in certain big moments of watching this Bills team, it feels like McDermott finds a way to be outcoached quite often.
Yeah, certainly, right? Like, so many situations. And I think, it's hard to say how much of it is McDermott, how much of it is Joe Brady. I mean, this team has a lot to do with injury. This team has a defensive-minded head coach, and they gave up almost 10 yards of carry last night, right? Like, you just can't do that. How do you win in the NFL giving up, 8.9 yards of carry to a running back? You can't do it.
You don't.
And to have a defensive-minded coach do that, it's more of a glaring issue. And then, we talked about Joe Brady and that play call. Take it back to the AFC Championship last year. 4th and 1, they couldn't get it again. They ran like kind of an exotic motion there against a full blitz. It feels as if they kind of don't have answers for sending pressure, and we saw Atlanta do that quite a bit last night.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting here because I had rattled off the statistics of how bad that Bills defense was in certain circumstances against the run, and they were almost last, if not last, in almost every statistical category. Well, now you have a game against the Falcons that you're sure going to be last in every statistical category. So do they have answers, though? Do they have answers with the players that are currently on their roster? Or is this kind of who the Bills are, which when you're looking at it from a Bills fan perspective, you see the Ravens are having a down year. You're seeing the Chiefs. I mean, I don't know who the Chiefs are going to be. They started off a little bit slow. Are they finding their momentum? They're getting healthier, so maybe they're going to start hitting their stride. But you thought maybe there was some hope here with being able to get past the Chiefs. But it doesn't look like the Bills have the team in order to be in that conversation, though. You have Josh Allen, who carries you and makes up for a lot of faults or a lot of areas of concern, but he's not going to be able to continue to put up 50 if you're going to be giving up on the defensive side of the ball what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think when people saw the Ravens are going to give up almost 40 points a week, and Buffalo came back on them at home in week 1, and then you look at the Bengals, who just lost Joe Burrow, and what is that team going to be? The Chiefs, who started 0-2 and then started to put it together before losing another one to the Jaguars. They were 3-3. I mean, this was the time, right? This is, if you're the Bills, isn't this the time you're looking up and going like, if we're going to compete in the AFC and we're going to go win this thing, it's this year, right? And that's kind of why, like, the Steelers, who are out to a 4-1 start, like, legit could host an AFC championship game.
Which is crazy to think about.
By the way, the 1 seed in the AFC, do you happen to know who it is, Kayla?
All right, 1 seed. Is it the Steelers?
It is not. Currently, the AFC runs through the Temple of Doom in Indianapolis.
Oh, how could I have forgotten the Indiana? We just watched them on Sunday.
The 5-1 Colts currently sit as the 1 seed in the AFC. If you're Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, aren't you kind of licking your chops saying this is our year to go get it?
Yeah.
And it just, the defense is depleted and they give up so much. And it's just hard to win like that. The roster is constructed pretty poorly around the best player in the world.
You're not wrong there. You're not wrong there. We'll certainly be diving more into the Bills as well as we continue on the rest of this week. But the other Monday Night Football game, the Bears coming out on top, 25-24. And I guess we just have some flair for dramatics when these two teams play together. Commanders had a 2-point lead with 6:02 to play when the drive started. Ball a little bit slippery because it was raining at that point. Jaden Daniels looked like he never really had a good handle on the football, though, when he tried to hand the ball off. Ended up resulting in a fumble. The Bears recover. The Bears used 9 plays, 36 yards, and Jake Moody, of all people, hits a 38-yard field goal to win the game for the Bears. The Bears had hopped out to an early 13-0 lead, though, in this one. The Commanders had a strong third quarter to get themselves back in it, take the lead. Jaden Daniels, he was 19 of 26 for 211 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a fumble. Meanwhile, Caleb Williams was 17 of 29, 252 yards, and a touchdown. We had talked Bears yesterday with Zach Pearson from Bear Report, and he said one of the keys was going to be running the football. Well, DeAndre Swift got himself going, 14 carries for 108 yards. In addition to that, the Bears were able to find themselves with some pressure, getting a couple of sacks in this one.
Yeah, the Bears defensively in that first half kind of stifled Washington, right? They held them to the 7 points, and Washington adjusted and came out and put up 17 in the second half. That's what we expect out of Jaden Daniels this day. 19 of 26 for 211, the 3 touchdowns, the 1 interception. Felt like a lot of that came in the second half. That first half, it just felt like they had Washington consistently on the ropes. And I'll give the Bears credit. Defensively, they were great in the first half, and then offensively, they put up points when they needed to. You're not able to finish those first 2 drives to start the game, and you go up 6-0 and extend it to 13, but they took advantage of their opportunities. And not saying Caleb was the best player on the planet last night, but 17 of 29 for 252 in the touchdown. He also ran 1 in. He was efficient. I thought that was one of his better games in the NFL, and he's another player where he's fun to watch because he could do something outstanding or really dumb on any given play. And so the Bears become a little bit more entertaining to watch, but they're 3-2. And by the way, last in that division at 3-2, which is crazy.
Right? So you're talking about division. Packers are leading at 3-1-1. The Lions 4-2, Vikings 3-2, and Bears 3-2. But of course, you know, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, And then if you wanted to also throw in Drake May, are probably always going to be compared because they went 1, 2, 3 in that 2024 draft. Probably Caleb and Jaden might be a little bit more comparison just because of their style of play, but Drake also has some wheels and he gets out there and he runs too. When it comes though to these two quarterbacks here, I do think that Jaden not having some of the important playmakers around him has shown up in certain circumstances. If you just look at completion percentage for him this year versus last year, it's down a little bit. Not having a guy who is a really good wide receiver in Terry McLaurin, I think that shows up a little bit.
Yeah, and I think their big offseason acquisition was Deebo Samuel. What does you actually get from him in the receiving game, right? Like that's always kind of been, yeah, he's an offensive weapon, not really a receiver. Like that, calling him a receiver is almost mischaracterizing what he does best. So I thought it was an interesting move from them in general, but paired with Terry McLaurin, you thought it would work. Without Terry McLaurin, I don't know how well it works. Again, Deebo only had the 4 grabs last night for 15 yards. It feels like everything he gets is behind the line of scrimmage. And when we're pushing the ball down the field to guys like Chris Moore or Zach Ertz, Jalen Lane had a big catch. Luke McCaffrey has the big catch. Like, what name on that team scares you? Because Zach Ertz was good 10 years ago, and Deebo, everything he caught was behind the line of scrimmage. Like, at what point do they need Terry McLaurin back to really start to compete with some of the big dogs in the NFC? Because Washington, they went to the NFC Championship game last year. How much of that was rookie quarterback got hot, a little bit of smoke and mirrors? I mean, they went out, added Eckler, Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner at the start of last year. Like, I mean, we're talking about really old players in the back 9 of their career who gave them some great seasons. Then you went out and got older. This is the oldest roster in the NFL.
Right.
Right? Like there's no doubt about it. So is this thing going to start to deteriorate as the season goes on? Did they need to take advantage of their early part of the schedule? And like Terry McLaurin getting hurt only hurts that and amplifies what has been kind of a weird 2 off seasons that has seemingly worked. But I don't know if they have the help they really need around a young quarterback.
Well, when you talk about too, some of the times these weird off seasons end up resulting in the way that something unfolds like this, where you have the holdout or the hold in, whatever way you want to call it. They finally get it done, and then he's hurt and not really able to be out there as often as you would like or need, because he is such a huge part of what you need to be doing offensively. But in terms of Deebo Samuel, is he not like the typical prototype player that Cliff Kingsbury would want in his offense? Like, yes, he's not the person that you're throwing the ball down the field to, but it just seems like what he possesses, though, is exactly what a Cliff Kingsbury would want.
Yeah, and I think we saw that earlier in the year, or even take it to last week, right? He had the 8 grabs for 96 and a touchdown, and he's been good this year. He really has. I mean, it's hard to argue. I mean, he's got 35 receptions, the 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, he may have a 1,000-yard receiving season. But is that what they needed? That's the question that I keep coming back to. Was he the player you wanted for a young quarterback? Because he's not the receiver that helps a young quarterback. He just isn't, right? He can do a little bit with the ball after the catch. That's where he's kind of best. But as far as getting him the ball, sometimes it's a tad challenging. You can do it in a variety of different ways, but he's not a great route runner. He doesn't separate tremendously well, and that's only been amplified in the back 9 of his career. He's gotten a little bit slower, and he struggled to stay healthy in San Francisco. So, he's played every game here. What does the back half of this season look like? Is it going to be better? When Terry McLaurin comes back, I think he can add an element to this offense that's going to be fun to watch. But as your number 1 receiving option to that point, is he the guy you wanted for a young quarterback? That's kind of the question.
The other thing, too, that is kind of a real factor is we know how good and dynamic Jaden Daniels is. As I mentioned, just from a completion percentage standpoint, 69% last year, 62.1% so far this year. But then also he averaged 6 yards a carry last year. He's averaging 4.9 yards a carry this year. I know he missed a couple of games with injury for himself, but also could there just be a little bit, too, that the team itself has had injuries, and maybe as you're talking about, not the pieces that you kind of needed to keep that momentum going. But now there's a lot more tape that defenses have a way of being able to key in on certain things too that they're trying to do.
Yeah, and I think that like anything, right? Eventually people see you on tape, right? Like the old adjustment to the adjustment, right? People are going to adjust to Jaden.
Yep.
How does he adjust back? And it's not a knock on Jaden. He's been very good again this year. I'm a Jaden believer in what he's going to do in his NFL career. But there's always just some time, right? Like the adjustment to the adjustment. Defenses in the league have seen you for a full season now. They can kind of game plan for it with that offensive coordinator. And that's why continuity is great, because now I know the offense, but it's also why I've now seen you on tape, offensive coordinator, most of this receiving core, the quarterback. So it's just the adjustment to the adjustment, and they'll make it fine. They're 3-3 right now, right? Some weird games in there. They beat the Giants, lost to Green Bay on Thursday night. And then, you took care of business with the Raiders. You lost at Atlanta. That's without the quarterback. You won one against the Chargers and lost one against the Bears. It's been kind of a roller coaster season, right? Like I think everybody was picking them against the Bears last night to take that step, move to 4-2. You fall back to 3-3, and okay, now you're fighting an uphill battle again. You had the chance to kind of match the Eagles at the top of the division and be competing again, and you still are competing. But to take that loss to the Bears feels like it's another step backwards.
For the Eagles, they're at 4-2. The Commanders 3-3, Cowboys 2-3, and the Giants at 2-4. We will step aside, though, here and get ready for Alex Myers Golf Digest as we just kind of pause a little bit on NFL discussion, and then we'll certainly get right back into it. But we'll talk a little golf with Alex Myers on the other side of the break. It is the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060.
KDUS AM 1060 is your home for the Jim Rome Show.
Even if Troy Aikman pretty much said the NFL product sucked last night, he's not wrong. I thought this was supposed to be a brand new Jets. They're more dysfunctional and more undisciplined than ever. You know what would actually be brand new for the Jets? A new head coach starting 0-5. That has never happened, but it looks like there's a very good chance it's about to happen.
The Jim Rome Show, 1 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Prepare for the Maximum Fun Tour. A day to remember. Yellow Card. Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, Saturday, October 25th. Special guests, The Wonder Years and Dinosaur Pile-Up. Tickets from $30. On sale now at livenation.com. A day to remember. Yellow Card, part of the American First Credit Union Concert Series.
If you could rewind 10 years, what would you do differently? Buy Apple stock at $20? Skip the Ghost Pepper Challenge? Maybe even rethink the skinny jeans. Nate here, owner of Blue Sky Pest Control. Some regrets are harmless, termite damage isn't. You can't go back in time, but you can keep termites from eating your future. Call 602 Blue Sky today for your free termite inspection. Hello, Blue Sky. Goodbye, pests.
Hello, everybody. Gary, why are you wearing a... Hold on, Ron. Every time Gary walks in here wearing some goofy costume, you always say, Gary, why are you wearing that? Yeah, but... And then it turns into some long-winded story about Alaskifications. Yeah, but... Then Gary says something ridiculous. Yeah, but... And you agree that an Alaskification before winter is the best way to prepare for cold weather. Yeah, but... And how Alaskan AC guarantees no breakdowns. Yeah, but... And all it does is encourage Gary to walk around wearing a stupid-looking ski mask that no person in his right mind would get caught dead wearing. Yeah, but he's wearing my ski mask. Keeping my head protected, just like the Alaskification protects your heater. My ski mask isn't stupid looking. Look who's wearing it. I choose to ignore that remark. Because you know another one is coming.
take off that stupid ski mask.
See?
And that's why you should schedule your Alaska vacation today.
What did we accomplish here?
I'm not sure, but today is a good day to Alaskafy. Schedule now at alaskanac.com.
Here with your Rome Report. Another weekend and even more bizarre activity around the NFL, but nothing as bizarre or as violent as what went down in Indianapolis. And I'm not talking about the Colts destroying the Raiders. I'm talking about former NFLer and current Fox broadcaster Mark Sanchez allegedly attacking a 69-year-old truck driver over a parking space, resulting in an altercation that left both badly injured and hospitalized. But it was Sanchez who was deemed the aggressor and hit with a bevy of charges, including a level 5 felony of causing serious injury, where punishment can reportedly range from 1 to 6 years in prison. Sanchez reportedly told police he had very little recollection of the night and didn't even know who stabbed him or where the incident occurred. The investigation continues, but it would appear already that that's not just a really bad night for Sanchez, but he apparently is a really bad dude who has some really significant issues, and it could still get even worse. I'm Jim Rome. Remember, you can follow me on Instagram at Jim Rome. Basketball is back, football season is heating up, and Prize Picks is making this sports season even more fun. So don't miss any of the action this season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Download the Prize Picks app today, use the code ROME, and get a $50 bonus credit instantly in lineups when you play $5. That's code ROME on Prize Picks to get a $50 bonus credit instantly in lineups when you play $5. Win or lose, you'll get the $50 bonus credit in lineups just for playing. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. You do have to be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
You need parts? O'Reilly has parts. Get one free set of brake pads when you buy 2 brake rotors. Upgrade to Brake Best Select pads for just $10. Or upgrade to Brake Best Select Pro or Import Direct pads for just $20. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Join in on the Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
For everyone out there, Jacoby Brissett is not the answer, because he's had games like that before where he's shown you that he could be a very capable quarterback. He's never been able to do it for a season and lead a team to any meaningful playoffs. So while it looked good, Cardinal fans, it's still not the answer. It just shows you how good it could be, maybe, if Kyler Murray could play better, or just different play calls, I guess, can be made.
Live weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
$11:29 here on KDUS AM 1060. Kayla Mortellaro here filling in for Chris Schubert. As we pop on out to the hotline for a little golf conversation, and I'm excited to talk with Alex Myers from Golf Digest. Alex, as always, it's great to catch up with you. How are you?
Hey, great catching up with you, Kayla. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm looking forward to kind of a little bit of a recap of the season that was in golf, as well as some rules changes that we can expect 2028, 2030, if you will, as well for the golf ball rollback. But let's start with the most recent big event, which was the Ryder Cup. Europe ended up winning 15-13, and it was kind of almost out of reach there. The United States put together a pretty impressive singles performance after Europe dominated the first 2 days. And when I look at this now, I really believe that Europe excels so much in this team format because of their friendships, because of the bonds that they have, that they are able to kind of, in a way, dig deeper, if you will, because they're doing it for the person that they're competing with. And it's not just so much they teamed up that day. And then that's also then conversely why maybe the U.S. excels on the single side of things, because they're playing more individualistic and may have just a little bit more talent as well at the end of the day, top to bottom. So how do you assess this? Do you have any theories as to why these two styles are so different, and Europe has won 6 out of the last 8 Ryder Cups?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit a lot of nails on the head right there. I well that the Europeans have, an infrastructure in place where Luke Donald, he's the captain, but he's just part of it. Whether it's his vice captain, Eduardo Molinari, who pours over the stats year in, year out, month by month, week by week, day by day. They just have more of a plan. Whereas you kind of heard on the U.S. side, yes, Keegan said he was sticking with his plan of that, that terrible pairing with Colin Morikawa and Harris English. But then you hear that, the Scotty Scheffler, Russell Henley pairing, which everybody kind of figured would happen. They were teeing off on the wrong holes, and their caddies were like, "Hey, why don't we tee off on these holes tomorrow?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea." I mean, that just would never happen for Team Europe. They have planned everything down to the bottles of shampoo that they bring to their team hotel. They have thought out everything. So, unfortunately for Keegan Bradley, I think he tried his best. He didn't have the full 2-year cycle to really get into it. Not that you would think you would need that, but Team Europe uses every day of those 2 years. I mean, they're already, I'm sure, thinking of stuff on how to improve for 2027 in Ireland. So to me, that's the biggest difference is they're thinking about this, not just year round, but every day for 2 years. And they're planning everything out a lot more carefully than the U.S. side.
So also, I don't know if this ended up being true or not, but I had also heard that like a JJ Spawn was not used in an alternate shot formatting because of the type of golf ball that he plays, and it didn't match up with anyone else. So how much of that went into why certain guys were not paired up, and maybe then how Europe counteracts that, because they also have people that play different golf balls.
Yeah, no, that was definitely something that came out potentially. Same thing with Ben Griffin, who, is kind of the one guy leading Max Fly back into the golf world this year. And he's obviously done very well with that ball, but nobody else played it. And he was sitting out the alternate shot too. And, JJ Spawn, obviously the reigning U.S. Open champ, almost won the Players, almost won a playoff event. And then obviously Ben Griffin, you could have made a case coming in, was maybe not the second best player because, of course, Bryson DeChambeau's there, but the third best player maybe for Team USA. And you don't see either of those two guys out in that first session either day. Same with Cameron Young, the local guy who won numerous tournaments, including the New York State Open at Bethpage Black, coming off of first win the month before, how he wasn't out there. So some weird stuff where maybe there was some overthinking on the part of the captains, because like you said, the Euros find a way to get around the one ball thing. And actually, because of the weird, the course being so wet, they were playing lift, clean, and place. The one ball rule wasn't even that big of a deal because you could lift, clean, and replace with a different golf ball. So again, just things that I'm sure Europe had thought of, and as good of a motivator as maybe Keegan Bradley was and seemed, and as passionate as he is about the event, again, I don't think he was coming at it with all sides covered like the Europeans.
Speaking of the Europeans, is Luke Donald going to run it back for a third time as captain?
It's interesting. He's being very coy about it. And maybe it's not his decision, but you'd have to imagine it's going to be left up to him if he wants to do it. Now, no one's won 3 in a row, so he would be attempting history. But on the other case, you could say, well, what else does he have left to prove? But you could tell how much this means to this guy. I think it's really going to come down to, does he want to dedicate another 2 years to it? Because again, we kind of used to joke about, oh, what do these captains really do? Well, Luke Donald is really doing stuff for those 2 years. I mean, it seems hard to believe, but he obviously is. So it's a big time commitment. Whether he wants to do it again is up to him, obviously. But yeah, he's being coy so far. I don't know what he's going to do. He does get to be the host captain. It's a great chance to kind of win 3 in a row and really put a stamp on this event that no one else has been able to do. He had one of the best records as a player as well in this event. So to be undefeated as a captain and I think had a 10-4 record as a player, you can make a case he's the greatest Ryder Cupper of all time.
We're having a conversation here with Alex Myers, Golf Digest, going around kind of the world of golf for the last year. So you now have, obviously, Live Golf is still in existence, had a lot of defections and things like that heading into this year. Mm-hmm. The DP World Tour, though, has sanctions and fines, but all of that has been put on the back burner because they didn't want to impede John Rahm or Tyrrell Hatton being a part of the Ryder Cup team. So are we getting closer now to a DP World Tour being able to have those fines in place or any sort of sanctions, or are they going to back off their position a little bit?
It seems like they're backing off. The DP World Tour is in a tough spot. They need all the star power they can get. They've partnered with the PGA Tour, but what's happening is their best players now are going to the PGA Tour. We just saw Marco Penge win the Spanish Open. He's a very promising young English player. He's won 3 times, and he's going to be on the PGA Tour next year. He's not going to be on. He's going to become the DP World Tour star this year. He's going to be gone. So they need to do anything they can to get these guys back. So that's why they've kind of dropped some of those sanctions. That's why you've seen, some of the live guys playing in these events, whether it's Sergio Garcia at the Spanish Open or John Rahm there, or, some of the guys even playing at Wentworth in the BMW PGA. And yes, they, again, like you said, they want them all on the Ryder Cup, and the European Tour runs the Ryder Cup for the European side. So there's a little more harmony on that side of the pond versus on the U.S. side, where it's still very split. And, of course, we did see, we have seen live guys, Bryson DeChambeau, make the team, but they kind of almost qualify, or they're right there. And that's kind of how they get onto the team. And, you kind of do want to field your best team at some point. You can't just leave all these guys out. But definitely more harmonious, I'd say, on the European side, whereas the U.S. side, it's just kind of this stalemate between the two tours. The PGA Tour realizes that a lot of these contracts are going to run up this year. So I think they're kind of playing a wait-and-see game to see if LIV will be weakened by certain guys not re-signing and maybe trying to come back.
Well, speaking of a live player now, John Rahm, it sounds as though he has had to take 4 months off and is not going to play again until 2026 when live season gets started here. But this is, I know he was on the victorious Ryder Cup side, but it was a winless year for him in professional golf. What do you think about him not having that competitive standpoint that everyone has always talked so much about with these defections happening in the first place?
Yeah, I don't think he falls into that category just yet. Yes, he did not win this year, but he had, I believe, 5 runner-ups, so he was in contention a lot. He did somehow win the live season.
I don't know how that happens.
Yeah, I don't either, and I'm sure Joaquin Neiman's not a big fan of the way they did it either, because he won 5 times to Rahm's 0 times, and somehow Rahm got the $18 million bonus, not that he needed it. So, I don't think he's one of those guys. I think he still burns competitive wise. He did have 2 top 10s at the majors. I'm sure he would be proud of his team with Tyrrell Hatton winning the team title. He won the Ryder Cup with his European teammates. So from a team perspective, he did very well this year. Just not individually hoisting a trophy was a bit odd, but it's not like he's not competitive where, a Dustin Johnson or Brooks Koepka really fell off this year. I know they played well the last month or so, a couple events, but nothing really to speak of, especially at the major championships. Rahm certainly seems a lot closer to, retaining the form that we were used to seeing than a couple guys like that, or Cameron Smith, another guy who's you've just kind of forgotten about since they went to live. So I'm not worried about Rahm yet. He's still only 30. He's got plenty more to prove, I think, and a few more majors in him at some point.
Rory McIlroy, he completed the career Grand Slam for himself, winning the Masters this year. The weight lifted off of his shoulders for winning that one, a major that had gotten away. Also, the fact that he had been without a major for 10 years. So does something like this propel him and the floodgates open for more majors for Rory before his career ends, or is it more of a contentment now?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think everybody kind of thought the first thing would happen, and then he won, and then he kind of almost went into a shell, and he got kind of upset about the way the media was portraying him, and he kind of got a little distant even in the middle there, but he played great down the stretch. Obviously, he played great at the Ryder Cup. I think he did kind of, once he climbed that mountaintop finally, though, he did struggle maybe to find motivation for a few months after that. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, he's been a guy who's come out and said, you're not going to see me playing when I'm 50 or whatever, So he I don't know how many more years he has of really putting in the top level grind. And now that he has won it all, basically, it might be tough for him to find motivation. But he certainly was motivated at the Ryder Cup. He wanted to win that away Ryder Cup. He got that done. And, anyone who wants to be compared to the all-time greats knows that the majors are really where it's at. So at least for the next, 5 to 10 years, you got to think that he's still going to be in contention at some of these majors. He's just such a consistent player that it's hard to see him ever kind of, leaving that top 10 sphere, top 5 sphere even. So I don't know if the floodgates will open, but I certainly think we'll see him pick off, another major every year or so.
Scotty Scheffler, maybe by his standards, he was off to a quote-unquote sluggish start, but by May, he was off to the races that included 7 wins, 2 majors, which were a PGA and an Open Championship for him. So for you, when you look at Scotty's game, what is so impressive about what he does week in and week out?
Well, other than the Ryder Cup, he never has a bad week. Of course, he had the worst time to have a bad week of the whole year, but he literally never has a bad week. It's just astonishing. I mean, Tiger used to be the same way, obviously. Rory McIlroy would be close in that regard. But Scotty, just week in, week out, I mean, even when he gets up to a slow start, it's just truly remarkable. And it's his iron game is so much better than anyone else's that over time he will give himself enough looks and eventually make enough putts to kind of crawl into contention. So it's just such a sustainable thing for him to be able to do that. And now, we've been talking about this now this is the 4th season. I mean, he's going to win the Player of the Year again. I mean, this is just a historic run that he's on right now. And it's of course these things can change, but it really just does seem hard to picture him not being at the top of the mountain in the near future.
Alex Myers, Golf Digest here on KDUS AM 1060. So we had some questions come in last week, so we're trying to have the conversation here today on the golf ball topic and what's going to be happening with the rollback for the pros in the 2028 season and then all golfers by 2030. If I'm understanding correctly here, we're supposed to see maybe a reduction of about 11 yards for swing speeds that are over 120, 125 miles per hour. Minimal change, I'm putting that in quotes, for the average golfer, about 5 yards or less based upon their swing speed as well. But obviously, the governing bodies felt they needed to come together to do something because you have historic, iconic golf courses that are basically obsolete or becoming obsolete just because of the length of the way that the guys can hit the ball now. They're taking things over trees and not really playing around the challenge, if you will. So do you think this was a necessary change for golf, and will it actually come to fruition here in 2028?
Ooh, big questions, Kayla. Big questions. I don't think it was necessary. I actually would have more maybe put, maybe a cap on things. I don't know about the reduction being necessary. I get the argument, well, they're not playing the courses the way they were designed. But I think you could probably have started saying that a few decades ago, to be honest. So, it's tough. Now, will it actually happen is the bigger question, because like you mentioned, the governing bodies are clear about this. They want this to happen. And throughout history, the PGA Tour has just kind of followed suit. Augusta National has followed suit. These other big bodies have just said, okay, you make the rules, we'll go along with it. But for the first time, there's really been kind of a pushback on this. And so it would be very interesting if the tour, because the tour is not committed either way, if the tour decides to not go along with this, there's really nothing the USGA can do. The tour is the tour. And there's really, if the casual golfer saw this, they would say, well, the PGA Tour stars aren't doing this. Why am I going to do this? Same with Augusta National. Now, Augusta National seemed a little more open to it, or maybe even this, you play a special ball at Augusta National, although that seems kind of weird. So it's really going to be up to like those. I think those two have the most say in this whole thing, because yes, the USGA and the RNA make the rules, but they need the big players who are the people that the fans see go along with this. And if they're not going to go along with this, and obviously there's so much sponsorship money and everything else, endorsement deals tied up with the equipment companies with these players, if they don't go along with this, then this is just not really going to fly, and it's going to be a big mess. So that's what still has to get ironed out in the next couple of years. It's going to be really interesting to see if the USGA like keeps their foot down on this, because I could see some of the top players kind of revolting against this new rule.
Alex, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you. Appreciate the insight and a little bit of a recap on the season that was on the PGA Tour.
You got it. Great chatting with you, Kayla, as always. Take care. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Once again, he is Alex Myers, Golf Digest. Fun to catch up with him and kind of get his insights as well on this golf ball thing. Because I guess that's where I stand on this, is that it is still just 2025. 2028 is a long time from now. And there's still not everyone is harmonious about this. So whether or not it's actually going to happen is a big thing that sticks in my mind, that, as we approach 2027, does it actually seem like we're going to see something come to fruition with this particular change in the golf ball rollback? But we have to take a break. It is the lunch break right here on KDUS AM 1060.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KDUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade 2026. Live at Chase Field, September 6th, 2026. With special guest, Jimmy Eat World. Get tickets now at livenation.com. For more, visit mychemicalromance.com.
The year-end sales event is going on now at Scottsdale Mitsubishi. Right now, you can receive 0% APR for 60 full months on all new 2025 Mitsubishi models. You heard that right. 0% APR on all 2025 Mitsubishi.
And if you're thinking about selling or trading your current vehicle, please give us a call. Our data shows that 9 out of 10 times we offer more. Don't cost yourself $1,000 or more by not making that simple phone call.
The name to remember, Scottsdale Mitsubishi, Scottsdale Mitsubishi. Another Mark Auto Group dealership.
This is Desert Diamond West Valley, where there's next level action and jackpot winning smiles all around. So get your shine on, light up the room, show us what it's all about. Join us at Rocktoberfest on Friday, October 31st, 6 p.m. to midnight. For food, fun, games, and more. Get tickets at ddcaz.com. It's time to live the diamond life. Desert Diamond Casino West Valley.
An enterprise of the Donna Automation.
Savor the flavor. Del Dorado chicken. Del, yeah.
And that concludes my presentation on what I'd like for dinner.
Wow, that was something.
Thank you.
But honestly, you had me at Del Taco.
Del Taco's new Del Dorado chicken packs layers on layers of flavor with premium ingredients like our new salsa roja, spicy jack cheese, and freshly grilled marinated chicken. Del Dorado chicken, only at Del Taco.
Del, yeah.
Price and participation may vary.
At Winco, we're working to save you money. Big savings on top quality meat, produce, seafood, and deli. Bakery fresh breads, cakes, and cookies made daily in store. Low prices on top quality national brands and thousands of our own private label. In every aisle, every department, every day.
9 stores in the Phoenix area, including the new Santan Valley location.
When it comes to your electric bill, saving energy means saving money. That's why SRP offers many ways to help you cut costs and boost comfort. From rebates and discounts that can save you thousands of dollars,
to expert insights that can help make your home more energy efficient. SRP has tools and programs that give you many ways to save. Explore your options today at srp.net/savings. That's srp.net/savings.
James out west. Mike Trout became the 59th player to hit his 400th home run. The home run record holder for the Angels. I was going to quiz you. Who do you think the number 2 is on the list for all-time home runs for the Anaheim Angels?
I would assume it's Shohei Ohtani.
Nope, Tim Salmon.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
299 for Tim Salmon. Mike Trout got 101 more than the next
Talk about
guy.
naming a random MLB player that had a really good career.
Yeah, dude, I loved watching Tim Salmon, bro. I'm about to cut together some Tim Salmon highlights.
Every other Monday night from 6 to 7 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060.
Welcome back to the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. Kayla Mortellaro filling in for Chris Schubert, who's enjoying his honeymoon. Evan behind the glass. We have some lightning fast segments here that we'll get into to conclude hour number 1. But I want to get into some key NFL injuries that happened week 6 that are now going to be something we're monitoring moving forward. And first on that list for me is Bucks with Emeka Egbuka out with a hamstring injury. He's scheduled to undergo testing today, but is expected to miss some time. He was on a historic pace for a rookie with 469 yards, 27 catches, and 5 touchdowns. The thing for me that has been so far pretty impressive is that, Baker Mayfield has been doing what he's been doing without Mike Evans, without Chris Godwin. Now Egbuka goes down, so he's going to be tossing the ball to Sterling Shepard, Tez Johnson, and Cameron Johnson. But maybe what could also still continue to help this is that they're going to be competing against the Lions, and the Lions are very banged up in their secondary. So that's going to be something to certainly monitor here heading into Sunday's contest between those two teams, and then also Ebeka's health moving forward with the hamstring. The Rams, they lost Puka Nacua with an ankle and is likely not going to play in London. Team officials do feel, though, that he has avoided some long-term injury, so that's good for Puka, who he also was on another historic pace for himself, leading the NFL with 54 catches, 616 yards, and 2 touchdowns this season. And then here locally, the Cardinals will be monitoring Marvin Harrison Jr., who obviously left Sunday's game with a concussion, so he'll probably be entering into concussion protocol. So monitoring that situation for him and his availability for Sunday's game. We will step aside, though, and we will see if we can squeeze in a little bit or buy or sell after this break here on the lunch break on KDUS AM 1060.
On your ride home from work, join in on the Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
If we owned our own football team called the Angry Roosters, and we kept signing people to contracts, and they weren't honoring their contracts and kept demanding raises, at what point do we throw our hands up and just say no to everybody? We signed you to a contract. Play out your contract, and that's it. You earn a better contract on your next one, we'll pay you for that.
Live weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Brian Adams. Roll with the Punches Tour 2025. A night full of hits. Live at PHX Arena, Saturday, November 15th. With special guest Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo. Get tickets now at LiveNation.com.
Got hail damage or any damage? Dynasty Collision is here to help, and we're even covering part of your deductible. Thousands are skipping repairs because of cost, but you don't have to. Call Dynasty Collision today, 602-529-3304. That's 602-529-3304.
I'm Bree.
I'm Sean.
And we are the Berquist family. We are repeat Fulton customers, and we've lived in a Fulton community for 6 years. We had been looking for a home, and so we walked into the Fulton community, and we were just absolutely blown away. When we walked into the model home, we noticed the high ceilings, the beautiful kitchen, the flooring, and the floor plan. We knew it was a place where we were going to raise our family.
And on top of that, we have a swimming pool and a good location here.
When you say the word community, you have to be able to see it and feel it. And so when you have your neighbors, you feel that community because you become friends, and it even feels like family, like a family community. And that is something that is priceless and can last a lifetime. We absolutely would recommend a Fulton home to our friends and family.
Fulton Homes. You're proud to own, we're proud to build.
At Winco, we're working to save you money. Every aisle, every department, every day.
9 stores in the Phoenix area, including the new Santan Valley location.
The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alessio is your hub for everything high school and college sports. Join Vince and friends as they give you the full picture on student athletes and where they're heading. Live interviews with coaches across the valley.
Asking some of the tough questions.
Varsity recaps and in-depth interviews with tomorrow's sports stars. The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alessio. Live every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Welcome back to the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060 as we wrap up hour number 1. Mismanagement of some time there, but we should have some time here for buy or sell.
We do, and we're going to jump right into it as soon as I get myself up on the stream. All right, we're good. Tonight's game is a must-win for the Brewers.
I'm going to buy that because you're at home, right? And, you need to take advantage of that shaky bullpen for the Dodgers. You have an incredible performance there from Blake Snell, and you almost find a way to lose the game if you're the Dodgers. So go in there and find a way to get this series 1-1, take advantage of that bullpen, and anything can happen then at that point moving forward.
And if you're going to do it for the Brewers tonight, we talked about it yesterday, where they didn't have one of their big-name starters going, and it was going to be a bullpen day, and they kept themselves in the game. Tonight, they do. It's Freddie Peralta tonight, so if they're going to take advantage and win one at home, feels like tonight's going to be the night for the Brewers. I got to ask, too, Bryce Terray, do you stay in there and take it to walk home the tying run, or to take the hit it by pitch to get home the tying run?
Yeah.
I think you stand in there and you take it for the team.
Yes, you do.
The Colts are really the most complete team in the NFL. Offensive, defensive, throw it, run it. They can do it all.
Gosh. So offensively, yes. Defensively, I don't know. I think there are some holes there on the defensive side of the ball. But then when I'm thinking to myself, who else is the most complete that has both offense and defense to that level? Nothing is jumping out at me at the moment, so I guess I have to buy this.
And you look around the AFC, and you maybe think the Chiefs, just because they've won a few games in a row and the offense has looked better, but, some major concerns early in the year. So what are these teams? I think the Colts have taken advantage of what's been a pretty weak AFC.
Absolutely. We will wrap up. Well, we are wrapping up hour number 1 right now. And hour number 2, we'll dive into Major League Baseball playoffs on the other side and get things started with hour number 2. Kayla Mortellaro, Evan, with you here on KDOS AM 1060.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
One last match, one unforgettable night. The regular season finale is here as Phoenix Rising hosts San Antonio FC on Saturday, October 18th at 7 p.m. It's Fan Appreciation Night with special drink and food deals and end-of-season merchandise sales all night long. Celebrate the season, cheer on the squad, and send Rising into the playoffs in style. Tickets start at just $15. Log yours in now at phxrisingfc.com. Final match, full stadium. Let's rise together.
Nitro Circus is back with the all-new Off the Rails Tour. World-class daredevils and FMX, BMX, skate, scooter, and more. Jaw-dropping stunts, high-flying tricks, and never-been-done showdowns. Friday, December 5th, Desert Diamond Arena. Visit Ticketmaster.com.
Upgrade your hunting arsenal with premium brands at great prices during the Shields Hunting Sale event happening now through October 19th. Scope out savings on your favorite brands in camo, rifles, ammunition, and so much more. Like $200 off the Sitka Fanatic jacket and up to $500 off the Leupold VX5 HD rifle scope. Join the community of hunters who trust Shields experts to outfit their adventures and get more bang for your buck now through October 19th at Shields.
And now, name something dads can do at the Arizona State Fair.
Have your first kiss on the Sky Ride.
Yes!
Hold purses and a beer and a turkey leg and still look cool.
Yes, you are correct.
The 2025 Arizona State Fair, open at noon Thursdays through Sundays in October. Check out azstatefair.com for tickets.
Hey, Mr. C, it's me. Well, I just picked up the ring. I actually went to Hellsberg. Thanks for that recommendation. Kate's gonna love that hers is from the same jeweler you got Mrs. C's ring from. They were so helpful throughout the whole process. They even knew your family by name, and the ring looks great. Anyways, I just couldn't wait to let you guys know. Call me back and wish me luck.
Hellsberg, designed with care and craft since 1915. Shop in store or at hellsberg.com.
This is the sound of Jack buzz cutting his way to a small fortune. To Jack, every time he cuts his own hair, that's $50 right in his pocket. If Jack sees DIY buzz cuts as a saving strategy, Wells Fargo is right behind him. And with their mobile app, tracking his savings is easy. Oh, ouch. However you make money work, we can work with that.
Mobile carriers' message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Hour number 2 of the lunch break right here on KDUS AM 1060. Kayla Mortellaro filling in for Chris Schubert, who is off enjoying his honeymoon. Evan behind the glass, as always. Follow along with us online, KDUS1060.com, as well as on YouTube, KDUS AM 1060. We'll make room for Doug Haller of The Athletic around 12:20 or so today. We'll chat Arizona Cardinals with Doug, as well as a bit of a preview for the Suns season that is set to get underway here soon. Where it is, though, for the MLB playoffs, you have the Mariners taking on the Blue Jays, and it was a Mariners 10-3 win yesterday. So they now have a 2-0 series lead as they head to Seattle for a team that is trying to punch their first World Series ticket as a franchise. The Mariners were able to get to Trey Yesavage in what was just his 4th career start. How dominant Trey was against those Yankees. Not so here with the Mariners, as Julio Rodriguez hit that 3-run home run to get the scoring started. But the Blue Jays, they didn't go away there. They bounced back with 2 runs of their own in the first and then a run in the second to tie the game up. But then things really busted wide open with a Polanco 3-run home run off of Varland in the 5th, who had come on in relief as Yesavage had a couple of guys on base there. The Mariners go up 6-3. And the Mariners bullpen, though, they had some good work, giving up just 1 hit over 6 innings of work. So when you take a look at this here, though, you have a Mariners team that is now up 2-0 in this series, and a Blue Jays team that had the time off. They looked so dominant. Their bats were on fire against the Yankees, now seemingly cooled off a little bit. Mariners bats, though, are the ones doing the talking in Toronto. Now it's going to head back to Seattle with that 2-0 lead. I mean, the pressure, though, is squarely on the Toronto Blue Jays in trying to even this series up, because home field advantage is completely gone at this point.
Yeah, you lose both at home, and it's just hard to come back from in any scenario. Luckily, it's not the division series, so they do have a little bit more runway to come back in this series. They have the seven-game series, and I just like this Blue Jays team. They feel like they've kind of answered the bell all year long, and the Mariners come out and really dominated them in both games. The pitching's been great. The Mariners' offense exploded last night in Game 2. I don't know how sustainable that is for the Mariners. I know yesterday I was kind of getting on the Mariners' offense, so they shoved that in my face pretty quickly. But no, for the Blue Jays, you lost 2 at home. You just got to go one game at a time. Win one in Seattle, try to string together another one, try to get this thing back home to Toronto, and then take advantage of your home field. But it was a tough start for the Blue Jays. I mean, to go down 3-0 on the Julio 3-run home run, and then kind of, again, answer that bell, right? Make it 3-3, and you just couldn't get out of an inning, and Jorge Polanco took you deep. And from that moment on, it just felt like Seattle was in the driver's seat. And after taking Game 1, after an emotional 15-inning game, then to jump back out with another 3-run homer, it just felt like they were going to take control of that game, and they really did.
How many 3-run home runs just in this playoff series has it felt like we've had in either the first or the second inning?
It feels like it's been all the time, doesn't it? I mean,
it does.
It really, it's insane.
I do have a statistic, though. You had talked about jumping out to that lead. This is the 28th time in MLB postseason history that a road team won the first 2 games of a best-of-7 series, and only 3 of those teams ended up losing the series. So certainly if you're the Mariners, you don't want to fall in that particular category, but it's also very, very rare that a road team takes 2 at home like the Mariners just did here. So, of course, the Mariners looking to make their first World Series as a franchise, and they have an off day today. As it is for the Dodgers, they picked up a 2-1 win over the Brewers yesterday, and we had talked about this, that the matchup to really kind of pay attention to how it was all going to unfold is that the story is for the Dodgers, it's their starting pitching, and then it really falls off a cliff for them with the bullpen, whereas the Brewers don't really have dominating starting pitching, and they're piecing things together with some relievers and trying to find a way just to get through 9 innings, basically. And you have one of the most impressive performances by Blake Snell last night. 8 innings, 1 hit, 10 strikeouts, no runs. But then the Dodgers almost blew an incredible start like that from Blake Snell.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the story. Like, look at the game and look at the box score. It does make you chuckle a little, right? The Dodgers ended up using 3 pitchers, which is crazy given that they got them to the 8th inning, right? And Blake Snell got you to the 9th, and you weren't able to use 1 pitcher. Roki Sasaki couldn't shut the door himself.
You had talked about Sasaki being the kind of who Roberts maybe had identified as trusting and was going to go in that direction.
Seemingly has been their closer for the playoffs, and it just got into a little bit of trouble. And I think we learned in Game 2, like Dave Roberts of the NLDS had a quick leash on some of those guys. And you look at the 9th, Sasaki, gets the first out, he gets a pop out, and then he walks in the ground rule double, and then you get the sac fly. It's 2-1 all of a sudden, and then he loses Christian Yelich, and Blake Trinan comes in to try and shut the door, and you get William Contreras up, and now you have Bryce Terang up with bases loaded and 2 outs, game on the line, and Trinan ends up shutting the door, and he gets the third of an inning to get the save. But they only use 3 pitchers. 2 of them combined for just an inning in relief. You look at Milwaukee, they got an inning out of Ashby. Then they went to Priester, who gave them the bulk. That's 4. Then they went to Patrick, Coing, McGill, and Uribe. They gave up 2 runs. They used 6 pitchers and gave up 2 runs. That just feels like their recipe that has been working for them all year. Last night, they came up short because, again, you couldn't get the starter out of the game. That's the one thing we said the Phillies couldn't do, and the Dodgers have been having so much success with, was their starting pitching. So if the Brewers are able to get the starter out of the game, it just feels like that bullpen is going to hold up. And they gave us 6 innings last night of almost perfect baseball. 8 innings of really, really good baseball. And for the Dodgers, they got 1 inning of very shaky baseball. So if it comes down to the bullpens, just give me the Brewers 10 times out of 10. And last night, the Brewers weren't able to push across the tying and winning run, but it felt like they were in the game there at the end after not having control at all. And if you're the Dodgers, like that's a scary sight. You get almost a perfect start and you come in and it feels like you never had the game in control.
So for the Brewers side of things, I mean, from a pitching standpoint, it couldn't have gone any better. I mean, that's how you're going to win games in those particular types of starts. You, at that point, through 6 innings, had given up 1 solo home run to Freddie Freeman. So you can't – I think you probably can't really look at that game as well, we didn't do what we needed to do from a pitching standpoint. More, how do we figure out how to get the bats going? But I mean, when a Blake Snell is just pitching the way that he's been pitching, I don't know if anyone can get to him right now.
Yeah, and that's going to be the difference, right? Is the starting pitching for the Dodgers. And we'll see if they can continue it. Tonight they have Yamamoto going on the mound. He was great in his start against the Phillies. Can he continue it, right? Like, can he come out and do it again? And if he does, it's just going to be a lot for the Brewers to make up for. Luckily, they have Freddie Peralta, so you hope you can get 6-7 innings out of what has been your ace all year. And if you can rest that bullpen and go to your bigger arms. But are you going to be asking to get 8 innings out of your bullpen every night? They're going to be taxed.
That's not going to be great. So Freddie has to have a great game. I mean, his last game, though, his last start was a Game 4 loss to the Cubs, and he only was able to go 4 innings in that game, giving up 3 hits and 3 runs. So you're going to need much more from Freddie Peralta in terms of what you need to get out of the pitching staff to make sure that you still have arms available as this series continues on.
Certainly. And that's what's going to be the most important thing is how can you keep this bullpen fresh if you're the Brewers, but also know that you want to go to your high leverage guys in big times, right? So it's a fine line in the playoffs. Luckily, you get more off days in the playoffs, so that's always a plus. And for the Dodgers, can this starting pitching continue to do what they've done? Like that is, you're asking a lot. They haven't scored many runs. I mean, you're talking about they played an 11-inning game with the Phillies. They scored on an error to win it, right? They played 9 innings yesterday. They put up 2 again. Like this team just hasn't scored many runs. And when you look back, you're like, man, where is this Dodgers offensive production going to be? The Phillies outscored them in the NLDS. They had more hits. They had more runs. They stole more bases. This Dodgers offense has been asleep. So there's 2 ways to look at it. One, you can look at it as, wow, the Dodgers are up 1-0 in the NLCS and beat the Phillies in the NLDS, and they're not even playing their best baseball. Or how long can they sustain not scoring this many runs? There's 2 ways to look at it, a positive and a negative, but that's the fact of the matter. The Dodgers offense hasn't woken up yet, and the starting pitching has got them to this point. And is that going to be sustainable against a Brewers team that has had the offense score a lot of runs and break out against bullpens late in the game? And that feels like where they're going to get to the Dodgers.
How many times, though, in just history in general of watching games in playoff baseball, though, that dominating pitching and it sometimes comes from your least expected person, too. That is the difference maker because the bats, it's so hit or miss here. But if you're painting corners, if you're setting guys up in certain ways, that is to me what makes just like masterful playoff baseball and why it's so fun, and the pitching matchups and things like that. But the pitching seems to be that tip of the difference here where. And then on the bat side of things, you just need to be able to have people in the lineup that have the ability to take it deep, to take it yard, to have that power. Because you can play small ball here and there, but when pitching can overcome that, you still need somebody to be able to take it yard on you.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is you look at the teams that have won the World Series, right? And those teams, they can pitch with the best of them, but they also can score runs. And it's just hard to win so many games 2-1, right? Like that doesn't feel sustainable eventually. And for the Dodgers, like that offense just hasn't woken up, right? Like at some point, they're going to have to put up 8 runs to win a baseball game. And if it's a meaningful game where they got to have it, I just don't trust them right now. Like again, Shohei Ohtani felt like a free out last night at the top of that lineup. It's like, at what point does he need to wake up and become a contributor for this playoff run before it gets to trouble? If the Brewers win tonight and they go back to LA 1-1, you got to start asking some serious questions if the Dodgers don't score again tonight. That's a lot of games in a row where they felt like they couldn't get out of the system. Like talking about the Phillies series, Teoscar's home run, like that's the only one I can think of. Then really like, wow, well, what an at-bat there and getting the big hit. Like I don't remember them really getting a massive hit against the Phillies other than that one.
I guess the thing, though, about the Dodgers, though, in this particular scenario is, yes, the production's not there. The runs are not there. You're not wrong in any of that. They just have the firepower that at some point they can do that. It's not a situation where the only recipe to success is winning 2-1 games or 1-0 games.
No.
Because they have the guys that can, at any moment, wake up, see something, see the ball a little bit different, and put something together.
Yeah, and I think that's why people love the idea of what the Dodgers can do, and that's why they're the favorites to win the World Series, right? Like, all of that. But take a look at Seattle, right? Seattle, who I was getting on for their offense, they've had an 8-run game, a 10-run game. They've gone 15 deep and beat you in a 3-2 game. Like, they've done it all.
Yeah.
Like, they've won in multiple different facets. Look at the Brewers. They've outpitched Chicago. They've come out and they've outscored Chicago. I haven't seen that from there's only one way I've seen the Dodgers win. And I'm not saying they can't win the other way because they have 3 MVPs at the top of their lineup and Teoscar Hernandez, who has been awesome. But down near the bottom, it's like, what team has the lead? I always say this when I'm talking about offenses in baseball. What team has the most depth and the least amount of free outs? And to me, it feels like it's the Brewers. Like they just feel like 1 through 9, I get complete competent at bats no matter what. And the Dodgers, that offense could have exploded last night too, because one of the craziest plays I've ever seen in baseball on that double play, like the most insane play I have ever seen. So they very easily could have scored 5 runs. I just haven't seen them do it yet in the playoffs, and that's a little concerning. This is also not a team that won 116 games like they were projected. This team has, let's face it, been an underperforming baseball team all year, and if they don't win the World Series, they're a failure.
Yeah, I mean, every year they go into things as like it's championship or bust for them.
Right? And when you look at a team that played poorly, wasn't the 1 seed, almost didn't win the division.
Right. Like the Diamondbacks had a chance to kind of sneak in there late.
Right. And
they were in the conversation.
You're talking about a team that almost didn't win the division and underperformed when everybody thought they could break the wins record. And if they don't win the World Series or don't make it to the World Series, I mean,
if you're
it's
Dave
a serious
Roberts,
conversation.
If you're Dave Roberts, though, do you look at making any change-ups to the lineups to try to see if somebody moving around in the order gets things going for you?
Yeah, it's a crazy question because I think in any normal situation, the answer is yes. But like we're talking about Freeman and Betts and Shohei Ohtani and Teoscar Hernandez, who's probably been their best offensive player to this point. Am I really going to make a change? Like the only guy I would say move up in is Will Smith, who I thought had some good at-bats in his pinch hit opportunities, but how healthy is Will Smith, right? Like that's a real question too. So there's just a lot of questions, right? Like a lot of questions for the Dodgers right now. I think there's a lot of questions after game 1 for the Brewers. I know it feels like I'm knocking the Dodgers. They're up 1-0 in a National League Championship Series. I'm not knocking the Dodgers. I just am getting a little concerned about the offense to this point.
That's fair because I think that's a fair assessment as to when are the bats going to produce in the way that they're capable of producing. And it is for the Brewers here. You are right. They have been part of those 3-run home run opening inning at bats, and they've won some big games. They've won games close. They've had different ways of winning, whereas the Dodgers are really at this point in time so heavily strapped to the starting pitching has to be spectacular, which Blake Snell was last night. You mentioned it. The Dodgers are sending Yamamoto to the mound. He's 1-1, 2.53 ERA, 11 strikeouts this postseason. His last start, though, was a loss to the Phillies in Game 3 when he went just 4 innings and gave up 6 hits and 3 runs. Then you have the Brewers sending Freddie Peralta to the mound, 1-1, 4.66 ERA, 15 strikeouts this postseason. Peralta's last start was a Game 4 loss to the Cubs in which he went 4 innings, giving up 3 hits, 3 runs, and first pitch is tonight, 5:08 p.m. on TBS. We will step aside, get into the Arizona Cardinals and a little Phoenix Suns with Doug Howler from The Athletic. It is the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060.
It's the Dan Patrick Show.
Ben DiNucci, NFL quarterback. I'm still going to introduce you as NFL quarterback. Being on the practice squad, what's the difference in how you're treated, lifestyle?
Honestly, nothing's different. I mean, there's 53 guys on the active roster and there's 16 on the practice squad. And the reality of the NFL is that guys are going to get hurt. There's a reason that these teams put a lot of effort into the practice squad, just like they do the active roster. It's really all the same. You're still traveling with the team. The pay cut's a little bit less, but at the end of the day, it's still great.
Live Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. right here on KDUS AM 1060 and the KDUS 1060 app.
We finally switched to T-Mobile because with them, we could be connected here and there.
Let's watch a movie.
And we have Netflix included to enjoy our favorite shows and movies.
¿Qué tal esta? Bacanísima, pero ya la vi.
Now the hard part is getting them to agree on a movie.
Switch today and get the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Plus with Galaxy AI, all on the best network in the U.S. Visit a store, T-Mobile.com, or call 1-800-T-Mobile. 1-800-T-Mobile. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence Data 1H 2025.
A pepperoni pizza for the table.
Thank you.
May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness, while the carbonation and notes of citrus enhance the flavor profile. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time. Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Judas Priest and Alice Cooper. The Metal Gods, Judas Priest. The Godfather of shock rock, Alice Cooper. October 22nd, Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater with special guest, Corrosion of Conformity. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Presented by 100.7 KSLX, part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
Hi, I'm Andrew the Homebuyer. Selling your house right now the traditional way isn't so easy. The average home is taking months to sell. Fortunately, I can help. I'll come to your home and give you a cash offer within minutes. Then we can close in under 5 days. And I'll make sure you get as much money for your house as possible. Call me, Andrew the Homebuyer, today, and let's get your home sold. Visit AndrewTheHomebuyer.com. That's AndrewTheHomebuyer.com.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Quick turnarounds are all the rage in today's NFL. Everybody wants to be the next Commanders, a team that struck gold with Dan Quinn and Jaden Daniels, turning chaos into contention just about overnight. But not every franchise can catch lightning in a bottle. Some rebuilds take time. Just look at what Dan Campbell's done in Detroit. It wasn't instant. It was patience, discipline, and you had growth. The Titans, they're learning that lesson the hard way. This is a franchise that's been spinning its wheels for over a decade. Cycling through head coaches, GMs, quarterbacks. It's an annual tradition. Mike Munchak lasted 3 years. Ken Wisenhunt, 2. Mike Mularkey, 2. Then came Mike Vrabel. He was great. The Titans chased him out the door. His replacement, Brian Callahan, went 4-19 before getting fired. At some point, ownership needs to realize you can't build long-term success when you keep hitting the reset button. Maybe it's time Tennessee prioritizes stability. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.
High-quality meat, unbeatable freshness, and a family-style commitment to care. That's the Heartland's difference. Heartland Steak Co. is your go-to source for premium Midwest meats, delivered straight to your door. Whether you're hosting a backyard barbecue, planning weeknight dinners, or giving someone the gift of Midwest flavor, Heartland Steak Co. is perfect for any occasion. Hand-cut and hand-picked from the Heartland, our premium selection includes USDA Prime and Choice beef, all-natural pork, chicken, and more. Save time and money with easy online ordering and expertly assembled specials, Grill Master packages, freezer-filled bundles, holiday gift boxes, all flash frozen for peak freshness. Go to heartlandsteakco.com, get 2 ribeyes with a purchase of $150 or more. Use code FOOTBALL25. Heartland Steak Co., your one-stop shop for straight-to-your-door Midwest meat. Taste the Heartland difference at heartlandsteakco.com. Again, use code FOOTBALL25 to get 2 ribeyes with a purchase of $150 or more.
KDUS AM 1060 is your home for the Jim Rome Show.
Even if Troy Aikman pretty much said the NFL product sucked last night, he's not wrong. I thought this was supposed to be a brand new Jets. They're more dysfunctional and more undisciplined than ever. You know what would actually be brand new for the Jets? A new head coach starting 0-5. That has never happened, but it looks like there's a very good chance it's about to happen.
The Jim Rome Show, 1 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
12:26 here on KDUS AM 1060. It is the lunch break. Kayla Mortellaro filling in for Chris Schubert as we pop on out to the hotline as we're joined by Doug Howler of The Athletic. Doug, always appreciate the time on the program. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, looking forward to the conversation here. So we'll start here with the Arizona Cardinals. They have lost 4 in a row now. Last Sunday, though, they put up 27 points behind Jacoby Brissett's start. From your perspective, what was the difference in the offense with a Brissett start that got the wide receivers involved and he threw for over 300 yards?
Yeah, it's really strange. I thought the Cardinals played their most complete game of the season, and yet by point differential, the 4 points, it was their worst loss. That's how narrow things go in the NFL. But no, I thought, a lot of the things that Jonathan Gannon has pointed out, his Jacoby Brissett's command, his poise, his experience, they all showed. But I thought the thing that really was impressive was getting everyone involved, guys that have not made a big contribution so far this season. Zay Jones, 5 catches all year leading up to that game, has 5 catches on Sunday. Michael Wilson finally got going a little bit, established our season highs in both catches and reception yards. So I think just staying in the pocket a little bit more than what we've seen Kyler Murray do, giving him a little bit more time to give those receivers just a second or two more to get open. I think that was a big difference.
Head coach Jonathan Gannon has said that Kyler will be the starter, but they're going to continue to be monitoring the foot injury. Not really sure how things stand at this point in time with him. They host the Packers on Sunday, and then they have their bye week. So do you get a sense of how severe this foot injury really is?
No, not really. I think that's the big question, but I think it's kind of convenient timing for the Cardinals coming off of the game in which Jacoby played so well. Kyler has an injury. It just gives them an opportunity to stick with the hot hand with Jacoby Brissett, let Kyler fully heal from that foot injury. After this week, they have the bye week, and then you can come back with Kyler in Dallas where, he grew up and has played so well there at AT&T Stadium. But, I know a lot of people, fans and media in this state want to see a coaching or a quarterback change, a permanent quarterback change. I just don't think, I just don't know that the Cardinals can make a change like that given how much they've invested in Kyler. It would not be a coaching decision, in my opinion. It would be an organizational opinion or an organizational change. And, I think you have to ride with Kyler a little bit longer, even though, I think we're starting to see that maybe he may not be the long-term solution.
Well, that kind of, I guess, then I'll piggyback off of that here with this next question. Does it feel like we've hit a point in his career here that he will be in a different uniform next season to give him a chance to have a fresh start, a fresh perspective somewhere else, and the Cardinals to start over fresh?
Yeah, I think we're heading that direction. I mean, gosh, it's year 7, and the year started with the debate that we've had for the last 4 or 5 years. Is Kyler the guy to elevate the franchise, take them to the next level? And at this point, I think he is what he is. I think he's a top 12 to 15 quarterback in the league, and I think some of the things he does well just doesn't suit where the Cardinals are going right now. There's a lot of obstacles with that. Obviously his salary, that's going to be huge, and there's another factor in whether or not you bench him or not. They're going to have to look to trade him, and benching him would hurt his trade value. It certainly wouldn't help it. So I think, I think the writing's been kind of on the wall, and we just haven't seen the improvement that we've needed to see from him. So I think, probably this, if I had to guess right now, I would say this would probably be his last season in Arizona.
Now, the conversation has been surrounding offensive coordinator Drew Petzing about how he can get the offense going, or even if he should keep his job. But after 27 points, that specific narrative, that specific kind of chatter on social media has kind of subsided here. So does it seem as though he runs a certain type of offense that fits a Jacoby Brissett, staying in the pocket, reading things, getting guys involved, and yet a Kyler Murray who maybe after the first read has such athleticism to be able to make plays and do things with his legs that no one else can do, that it's not fitting into the offense and the style that they want to play?
Ken, I think that's a really good point. Kyler throughout his career has been a quarterback that when he feels pressure, he's just programmed to take off, and he can do things with his legs that few people can do on the NFL level. We've seen that. If you think about some of the best plays Kyler has made during his time in Arizona, it's, when things break down in the pocket and he goes. I just think that's the way he's programmed, that when he feels a little bit of pressure, take off, because he knows he can make plays like that. And I think probably in the NFL, the successful quarterbacks are those who, when they feel pressure, they stay in the pocket, they keep their head, they go through their progressions, and they make the throw that needs to be made, and they put the ball where it needs to go. And I think that's probably the biggest factor in what we're seeing of the debate that we're having about Kyler. For most of the conversation has been, well, is it Drew Petzing's play calling? Is it they're not getting open? Marvin Harrison Jr. has not, been the player that we all expected, even though he's starting to play a little bit better. Where does the fault lie? Where does the blame go? And I think going into last week's game against Indianapolis, knowing that Jacoby Brissett was going to start, it wasn't so much the curiosity around Jacoby. Everyone wanted to see what the offense looked like, how it would function without Kyler. And, putting up a season-high 27 points, a season-high 400 yards, I think that was probably the most convincing evidence that we've had to this date that the problem might be with the quarterback.
He's Doug Haller of The Athletic here on KDUS AM 1060. So you touched on Marvin Harrison Jr. He's obviously going to be monitored this week with the concussion that he had from Sunday, so whether or not he'll even be available for this Sunday. But we know about the drops. We know about his potential. So we know on both sides that have happened here with Marv and his years here with the Arizona. But for you, what has been frustrating to watch about his involvement in the offense, and where have you seen growth happen?
Well, the frustrating part is just the inconsistency of trying to get him involved. The excitement with getting someone with Marvin Harrison Jr. And you have to think, when the Cardinals drafted him, he was not only considered the best receiver in that draft, he was considered the best receiver to enter the draft in years. So a can't miss guy. And then when he got here, you saw okay, he's polished, certainly. He's going to work hard. He's going to put in his work on the judge machine. But, there were some things as far as just the toughness that was needed, making contested catches, separation, all those things were all of a sudden were question marks. I'm not ready to say, some people are saying that Marvin Harrison Jr. is a bust. That's not true at all. at minimum, he is a solid NFL receiver, and he still has a very high ceiling. We haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen the consistency. But also, we haven't seen a commitment, I don't think, from the offense to say, you know what, we're going to go to Marvin Harrison to start, and we're going to stick with him. We've seen him have great first quarter, and then we've seen him just kind of disappear. And some of that's been because of Marvin, and then some of that's been because, if you look at Kyler Murray, when the ball is snapped, he's not looking at him. There could be factors for that. There could be that, they don't think that Marvin is that guy right now. It could be that the defense, and this has been the case on some occasions, the defense have kind of set up to slow down Marvin Harrison Jr. because the Cardinals don't have, a strong supporting cast around him. But I don't think we've seen the commitment to go to Marvin to really get a full feeling of what he can do yet.
On the defensive side of the ball, Josh Sweat, it kind of seems like he's pretty much the guy who can get pressure without sending a blitz. We know, the success that he had in Philadelphia and his connection with Gannon here. But they also haven't been a team that really has blitzed much this season. Maybe it's because of the injuries in the secondary. But how important should it be for the Cardinals to try and generate some pressure and make the opposing quarterbacks a little bit more uncomfortable in what they're trying to do?
Yeah, that's something that they didn't do very well against Indianapolis. Daniel Jones was way too comfortable, especially there and late in the game. And going into the season, that was what everybody was excited about, right? I mean, Josh Sweat, obviously, but not only him, but all the changes that they made to the defensive line, drafting Walter Nolan, getting Darius Robinson back, who was injured most of last season. And it just hasn't worked out as planned. And a lot of it's because of injuries. I mean, losing Walter Nolan in training camp, before training camp even, and still not having him out there on the field, that's a killer because, I think a lot of people thought he would be a difference maker. And then Darius Robinson has battled some injuries, and Calais Campbell has played well, but you don't need him. I think they're relying a little bit too much on him. And a lot of that is because of their depth problems there. If they can get someone else to step up and provide some pressure, that would free up, I think, Josh Sweat to be even more impactful, and they just haven't had that yet. Most of it because of injury reasons, but when that happens, you have to be creative in how you send pressure, and I think that's probably something we'll see Arizona do here with definitely Sunday and probably for the next few weeks.
I loved the pick with Will Johnson, and he has kind of been exactly what I thought he was going to be. But what stands out to you about him through the first couple of weeks here?
Well, I mean, just, his readiness, he seemed like at the beginning of the season that even in preseason, that the moment wasn't too big for him, that he was ready to make this leap to the NFL level. The big question with Will, of course, was, and it was the reason why he dropped to the second round into the Cardinals' lap was, his health. And we've seen, already that pop up and have him miss a couple games. But when he's been out there, I think he's been fairly solid for a rookie. And I think he's probably someone that if he can stay healthy is going to turn into a really, really strong corner for the Cardinals, maybe at the end of this season, but definitely in the future.
So the Packers, maybe they're a team that aren't as good as that Week 1 performance was, but they're still a formidable team, and it's still going to be a very difficult challenge for the Cardinals on Sunday. On paper, though, this schedule for the Cardinals is also pretty tough. When you have a team now that is sitting at 2-4, when you look at this on paper, what is realistic for this Cardinals unit?
Yeah, that's why these first 6 games were so important, because once you got, and really at the beginning of the season when everyone was looking at the schedule, Kayla, everyone thought, the Colts are going to struggle. Well, obviously that's not the case. The Colts are one of the better teams in the NFL. But those first 5 games, people were looking at the first 6. People were looking, okay, worst case 4-2, and the fact that they could not pull that off, not even close. The fact that they lost to Tennessee, how they did, and let some winnable get San Francisco. They should have won that game. The fact that they came out of that 2-4 with a 4-game losing streak, and now they have to start, Green Bay at Dallas. I think after that, is it at Seattle? And then I know they have a trip to Tampa Bay coming up in that stretch.
And Jacksonville will be at home too.
Jacksonville at home. Yeah, that's the other one. And so that is brutal. And so they're going to have to steal some games now. And I think everybody talking about the Cardinals has to remind themselves that it's still really, really, really early. They have the bulk of their schedule left. There are some positives. Their 4 losses have been by a combined 9 points. They're one of 8 teams in the NFC with a positive point differential. So, they could turn it around very easily. But the schedule is certainly not in their favor, and they're going to have to beat some teams that they shouldn't beat. That's just how it's going to have to be. Whether or not they can do it, they're going to have to get healthy quickly. I think the bye week will help them, so that gives them a little bit more time. But they definitely missed an opportunity here with the first half of the first part of the schedule, I should say.
Doug Howler of The Athletic here on KDUS AM 1060. Before I let you go, have to pick your brain about the Phoenix Suns as their last preseason game here against the Lakers tonight before the season really does get rolling. And you basically have a complete overhaul of this team. Devin Booker remains the constant. It's going to be his team from a leadership as well as a points on the court driven perspective. What should people expect, though, to see from a style of play perspective from the Suns this year?
Definitely a more defensive minded team. Just what we've seen in the preseason so far, there's definitely a different vibe with it. They're younger, they're more athletic. But really to get I still don't know what it's going to look like because they're missing 2 key pieces. Jalen Green hasn't played because of the hamstring injury, and Nick Richards, they're kind of slowly getting him ready for the season because of his injury history. But I think you'll see a commitment to defense. I think you'll see a team that gets on the floor after loose balls. I think there'll be an edge to them that we haven't seen from the Suns for a long time. And I think there'll be a togetherness that the Suns have not had. How that translates, I don't know. I think it'll be, there's a big difference if we see all these changes and they finish 5 games over 5 games over 500 or 5 games below 500. I think, just the, Mike Manishvili says we're going to have a team that everybody can be proud of. I think that's great. I just don't know if it can last over 82 games. It might last through November, through Christmas. But, if the team's 5 to 10 games over under 500, I think that's not going to last long in the NBA. So I'm really excited to see what it looks like. I know that there's a different vibe there. You can feel it in the building. I just don't know how it's going to translate yet.
Because, the West is pretty tough. John Hollinger, I saw he predicted the Suns to finish 12th in the Western Conference. Do you agree with that assessment, or just really too early to make any kind of judgment call on that?
Well, I when they hired Jordan Ott as their head coach, I did some work, just on his journey, and I talked to a lot of people who have worked with Jordan Ott throughout his basketball career, going back to when he was in college, as a student manager, as a graduate assistant, all the way up till he was in the NBA. And just about every conversation I had, people said, don't underestimate him. He's really good at what he does, and the Suns will be better than what you think. Now, they didn't define that. They didn't say they're a playoff team. But, I think they're going to compete for that play-in, or for a spot in the play-in tournament. I know that's very low. That's keeping expectations pretty low. But I think they will be, toward the end of the year, this season, they'll be fighting for a spot there. I think they're probably going to be better than what we expect, but it's a low bar. They only won 36 games last year. I think they'll be better than that. Like I said, I don't know if it's from 36 to 42 wins, or I think it would be probably the ceiling would be kind of like in that 44 win range. But I do think they'll be, their record will be better than what it was last year.
Doug, as always, it's fun to catch up with you. Thank you for letting us pick your brain.
All right. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Once again, he is Doug Howler of The Athletic. We'll step aside here on the lunch break and come back with some overreactions in the NFL right here on KDUS AM 1060.
Join in on the Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
For everyone out there, Jacoby Brissett is not the answer, because he's had games like that before where he's shown you that he could be a very capable quarterback. He's never been able to do it for a season and lead a team to any meaningful playoffs. So while it looked good, Cardinal fans, it's still not the answer. It just shows you how good it could be, maybe, if Kyler Murray could play better, or just different play calls, I guess, can be made.
Live weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Have you noticed all of a sudden there's a bunch of lawyers saying they're going to fight for you? Yeah, until you read the fine print below them. Hi, I'm Mark Breyer.
And I'm Alexis Breyer. We're the husband and wife law team. If you look closely at that fine print, you'll see not an attorney in this state or not a law firm.
You never trust your future in the hands of someone other than a serious, experienced trial lawyer. And you definitely can't trust someone who won't even tell you who they are.
Do your research after a serious injury. Call the husband and wife law team first.
Hello, everybody. Eric Bryan, owner of Precision Air and Plumbing. When it comes to your comfort, results matter. That's why Precision has been voted the #1 ranked AC company in the Valley for over a decade, delivering the best installation in the state. And now's the perfect time to upgrade. Get $2,500 off a new AC unit, plus receive the Valley's only 10-year workmanship warranty. Protect your home, lower your stress, stay comfortable all year long. Make the Precision decision today. Call us at 602-FIX-MY-AC.
This fall, choose Primavera Online, and you'll be choosing a school with flexibility, personalized support, and an award-winning curriculum that's over 20 years strong. Now enrolling grades K-12 at chooseprimavera.com.
Don't miss out on fun for the entire family at Tomacha Farms Pumpkin Days and Corn Maze, located in the West Valley. Bring the little ones to explore the Great Big Pumpkin Patch, Family Corn Maze, and Petting Zoo, located at 75th Avenue and Bethany Home Road. Fun for all ages.
AZ Field of Screams, Arizona's most spine-chilling haunted corn maze, where nightmares become a reality. Do you dare enter? Experience the thrill at azfieldofscreams.com.
Jaw-dropping stunts, high-flying tricks, heart-pounding excitement. Nitro Circus is back. The all-new off-the-rails tour. Gravity-defying thrill seekers and world-class daredevils at the top of their game. FMX, BMX, skate, scooter, and everything in between. Experience all new competitions that pit the best against the best in never-been-done showdowns. Nitro Circus. Friday, December 5th, Desert Diamond Arena. Join the action at Ticketmaster.com.
Fall savings have arrived at Mark Mazda in Scottsdale. Right now, you can receive $10,000 off the top of MSRP when you lease a brand new 2025 Mazda CX-70 or CX-90 plug-in hybrid.
The name to remember, Mark Mazda, Mark Mazda. On approved credit plus $998.
It's the grand opening of Fulton Homes' newest master plan community, Acclaim. This beautiful community features open spaces, multiple parks, and a large aquatic center. Visit FultonHomes.com. Fulton Homes. You're proud to own. We're proud to build.
Got hail damage or any damage? Dynasty Collision is here to help, and we're even covering part of your deductible. Thousands are skipping repairs because of cost, but you don't have to. Call Dynasty Collision today, 602-529-3304. That's 602-529-3304.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KDUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
Welcome back to the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. Thanks to Doug Haller of The Athletic for joining us in the previous segment, chatting all things Arizona Cardinals as well as a little Phoenix Suns action. But Evan, it's time to get into overreactions or just right here. And the first one that comes to mind for me in the NFL resulted from the first game on Sunday morning, bright and early, 6:30 across the pond, where it set NFL back 100 years. Justin Fields was 9 for 17 for 45 yards passing and was sacked 9 times. The Jets had a minus 10 net passing yards in the game. Is it time to bench Justin Fields?
I don't think that's an overreaction at all. I think it's time to bench Justin Fields. I think it might be time to start looking at other coaching options, maybe if this thing really gets off the rails. The Jets are going to have to change a lot. I don't think that's an overreaction at all.
No, certainly, the start for Aaron Glenn as a first-year head coach there in New York, 0-6, not what he's looking for. You do have Tyrod Taylor as a backup, who has been proven to be a very good backup quarterback in the NFL. I think the question, though, is, one, is it worth it? Because you're going to be probably finding homes for some players at the trade deadline, give them an opportunity to move on. So do you make that move for Tyrod Taylor? I think, though, you don't want to have an 0-4 season. So bring someone out there who can have a forward pass.
The Panthers will be in the hunt for a playoff spot at the end of the year.
I'm going to say that's an overreaction. Yeah, I know they're finding ways to win the last 2 games, and Dallas didn't look good, but also Dallas can't stop anybody. So I'm going to say, plus they played Miami, who can't really stop anybody, and they played Dallas, who can't really stop anybody in the last 2 games. So I'm going to say that's an overreaction. Yeah,
I don't disagree, but I do think they look good right now. Offensively, they've been able to score points, and looks like they got the right pick in there with Teterow and McMillan.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, he's been really, really good.
Yeah, certainly been great. And Rico Dowdle, I mean, their ability to run the ball, and I know you're playing the Cowboys, but last 2 weeks, their ability to run the football has been nothing short of impressive. And you look ahead a few weeks, and they have the Jets this week. You're talking about a team that could be 4-3, the 4-3 Panthers. And if they play Buffalo, they prevent some they do play Buffalo, and they prevent some challenges with how they run the football.
That's very true. So, again, let me piggyback off of that one with an overreaction. Is Rico Dowdle the best running back right now in the NFL?
No, that's an overreaction. That is an overreaction. Jonathan Taylor plays in Indianapolis. He's got to be the best one in the league. But, I mean, 2 back-to-back legacy days for Rico, one against his former team. So, I mean, certainly an impressive 2 weeks.
I'll give him that he had an impressive 2 weeks, took advantage of some opportunities in front of him too, because he's in there basically in that primary role because of an injury to Chuba Hubbard.
Exactly.
Drake May will be the best quarterback from the 2024 draft class. The class includes Caleb Williams, number 1 overall. Jaden Daniels went number 2 to the Commanders, and May went 3 to the Patriots.
I'll say overreaction right now. Let it sit in a little bit. They beat the Saints this week. Yeah, 2 back-to-back impressive wins for them. Obviously, Buffalo, and I thought offensively they did look good against the Saints and were efficient, and Drake May was great. He played a tremendous second half at Buffalo, but a little bit of an overreaction. Listen, Jaden's still got the stranglehold on that. They lost last night, I get it, but he did go to the NFC Championship last year. Those things remain true, and so I'm going to pump the brakes on that overreaction for now, but certainly not impossible.
I kind of agree with you that we need to see some time. Plus, I think you finally are seeing that there is a team around Drake May that helps too, and some competent coaching.
Exactly, and that is the end-all be-all, right? So much of it is situation-based in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Speaking of situations, you get out of Cleveland, you find yourself some help. Baker Mayfield will be the runaway MVP of the National Football League.
Ooh, I think your key word there is runaway. So I'm going to say an overreaction there. What he has been doing, incredibly impressive. And especially too, when we've talked about the wide receivers really relying on Emeka Egbuka as a rookie here with injuries to Mike Evans as well as Chris Godwin. But now you have the injury to Egbuka. So you're going to see Tez Johnson. You're going to see Cameron Johnson, Sterling Shepard get some opportunities here. Certainly Baker is playing well, playing with confidence, as I like to dub it, the controlled gunslinger he is now. But that key word there was runaway. So I'm going to say overreaction.
My last one, Aaron Rodgers will win a playoff game this year with the Steelers.
That's not an overreaction.
Doesn't feel like it anymore, does it?
No. And I don't know that it's necessarily happening because of him, but like the way that division has unfolded here, they are looking in line, unless some drastic things happen, that they're going to be the winners of the AFC North. So now all of a sudden you put yourself in a position where Rodgers understands the game. He's been in playoff situations before. Figure out ways to kind of shore up some of the areas that have been a little concerning for the Steelers on defense. All of a sudden, you have a recipe for a playoff victory with a Mike Tomlin-led team. My last one is the Cowboys aren't a playoff team.
Oh, I don't think that's crazy at all. I certainly didn't think they were a playoff team coming into the year, and I think a loss to the Panthers kind of cements that. That's a team that cannot stop the run, and they don't have the best player in the world to bail them out of situations like Buffalo does. So I don't think they're a playoff team. It's not an easy schedule. They don't have enough for me to say that's a playoff team. I mean, just coming up in the next few weeks, you're play the Commanders, you're at the Broncos, and then you got the Cardinals. They could certainly go 1-2 in that stretch, and then you're talking about a team that is sitting here and is 2-3-1 now. So if they win 1-2,
the 3-5-1,
3-5-1. And that's a hole to dig yourself out of.
I don't think they are Micah Parsons' problem away. So that seems to be like maybe that was a fine decision because you were more than Micah Parsons on that defense. We'll wrap things up here on the lunch break on the other side of the break here on KDUS AM 1060.
James out west. Mike Trout became the 59th player to hit his 400th home run. The home run record holder for the Angels. I was going to quiz you. Who do you think the number 2 is on the list for all-time home runs for the Anaheim Angels?
I would assume it's Shohei Ohtani.
Nope, Tim Salmon.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
299 for Tim Salmon. Mike Trout got 101 more than the next guy.
Naming a random MLB player who had a really good career.
Yeah, dude, I loved watching Tim Salmon, bro. I'm about to cut together some Tim Salmon highlights.
Every other Monday night from 6 to 7 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060.
Global Credit Union, how can I help you?
It's one of those voice prompts.
Representative! Good morning. How can I help?
Wait, is this a real person?
It's 2 a.m.
We're here to help members 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Impossible.
At Global, possible. Learn more at globalcu.org. Global Credit Union, your world of financial possibilities.
Hi, I'm Luis Gonzalez. Like me, Casino Arizona is uniquely Arizona. It's been some time since I hung up my cleats. That's why it's nice to feel as welcome here as I did when playing at home. From the friendly smiles to the winning celebrations, this is where I love to play now. These days, my favorite players are all gathered around the blackjack table. And yes, they can hit. Want to feel as welcome as me? Join Salt River Rewards. They treat you right. Casino Arizona, uniquely Arizona.
Every day, reliable, comfortable, connected. Every day you rely on power. At APS, we work around the clock to deliver some of the most reliable power in the country. But with Arizona's extreme weather, outages can happen. Stay safe and informed with alerts by keeping your contact information up to date. And visit our outage center for updates online or on the APS app. For more ways to stay safe and informed, visit aps.com/brighter.
Every day begins with the promise of something new, a new perspective, a fresh start. At Banner Health, right here, right now, we're pioneering new ways to treat cancer with our own immune systems. We're among the first to treat Parkinson's with the patient's own cells. And we're a world leader in artificial heart implantation, all while training over 1,300 doctors every year. Impressive, right? It's just another Banner day. Banner Health.
On your ride home from work, join in on the Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
If we owned our own football team called the Angry Roosters and we kept signing people to contracts and they weren't honoring their contracts and kept demanding raises, at what point do we throw our hands up and just say no to everybody? We signed you to a contract, play out your contract, and that's it. You earn a better contract on your next one, we'll pay you for that.
Live weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to this edition of The Lunch Break right here on KDUS AM 1060. Have yourselves a fantastic Tuesday, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.